In this video, we are going to talk about building portfolios, efficient portfolios. This part of the lesson will be divided in two videos. We'll first set up some figures that we need, like average return, standard deviation, Sharpe ratio, and the Covariance Matrix. Then we will break it to the second video where we will discuss the weights on different types of portfolio combinations. What we have to get started are daily or monthly returns on different assets. Now, these assets could be stocks, could be other portfolios, a combination of portfolios and other assets. And well, there's a variety of combinations you can build a portfolio with. In this case, these are the 5 assets that we're going to work with, and these are the monthly returns that we have recorded over some period of time. So that's going to be our return series. And we need to collect some information first to set up our eventual portfolio diversification building that we're going to do later here. Okay, so we want average returns. So we're going to use the average function of Excel, and is asking us for these returns. This is the data we're going to use. So XLF, you're going to click here and select the entire range. And then I can close the parenthesis. And that's what we have. I just hit enter, and it gives me a 1% return. Now I can just go ahead and drag the formula, and it sets it up for all of them. Now for standard deviation, we are going to use also a function in Excel, and we're going to use the sample standard deviation based on a sample. Same thing. You can just go ahead and highlight the data and close the parentheses. And then we can just drag the formula so it covers all of them. So far we have the average return that these assets are giving us based on the sample data we have, the standard deviation of those returns. And for Sharpe ratio, what we're going to do is we're going to take that average return. We're going to open up parentheses because we want to take the average return minus the risk-free rate, which is another piece of information we're going to use here for our current calculations. I'm going to lock that in place with the dollar signs. And then what I want to do is I want to divide it by the standard deviation. 1 second, let me put the division there. Divided by the standard deviation. There we go. And this gives us a Sharpe ratio of 0.1800. Now, since we locked in that in place with the dollar signs, we can go ahead and just drag it across as well. Now, the Sharpe ratio has the returns on top, the excess returns above the risk-free rate, and the standard deviation at the bottom, which represents risk. So the higher the Sharpe ratio, the more efficient that asset is giving you a higher return per unit of risk. So one thing we can do here to start identifying the information we have is use the max function for Excel to tell us from these returns which one is the highest one we have. Now, of course, you can just look at it, it's just 5 of them, and just immediately identify the highest one. However, if you had 100 of these, it's just easier to do that. Now for the max Sharpe ratio, we're going to do the same, where we're going to use the max function, but we're going to do for the Sharpe ratio. Remember, the highest one is the one we want. Now, in this case, the same asset gave us the highest average return and the best Sharpe ratio. It doesn't always have to be that way. It's just worked out to be like that. Now, covariance matrix. Now, if you were to do these one by one, you could use the covariance function that we have here. But then what happens is that you cannot drag across left and right that easily. You would have to do every cell one by one. If you had several assets, the more assets you had, then the more work you will have to do to get that covariance matrix. So we're going to do a different approach in order to get all these done. So the way it's set up, we have the same 5 assets on top and the same 5 assets here on this column. And we're trying to get the covariance between each asset. So XLF with each one of these, and then DX with each one of them. So we're looking for the covariance of each one of them. So a good way to do it is to highlight the entire matrix itself. So now Excel knows that whatever we're going to type in, we want it to cover all of these. And we're going to use the array approach. We're going to use the array approach, and we're going to use a different function. We use a combination of functions. There's going to be a transpose and a multiplier. So let's get started. So, all right, so I started here and I dragged it all the way. So this is another way to approach it in order to get all of them done at once. Start with the equal sign. And we're going to start with this matrix product function. All right. And I'm going to start the parentheses. So the first array that we're going to use or do is going to be all these returns that we had here. So now Excel knows that we want to use all of these. All right. And I'm going to add here because we're going to have to do a transposition with those. So I'm going to add in front of here another function that is called transpose. All right. So we have a function within a function. So we're letting it know that while we're going to do this multiplication of a matrix, we need to transpose these that we selected. And then within the transpose function, we want to have those numbers being subtracted from the average returns. Because remember, these are returns and these average returns. So it's doing a combination of using these individual returns against the average returns of each one of them. All right. Now, for the second array that we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and grab all these again. We're going to grab all of those. Make sure we have all of them. Okay. And we are going to also do the same subtraction again. In other words, we're doing this twice. So we're going to close, that is for the transpose, and then we're going to close that piece of the function. Then we want to do now is that we want to divide that by 59. Now, I'll tell you here in 59 in a second why, because the sample size has certain range. The sample size has 60 elements, so you want to take one out. You want to do -1 in order to do the degrees of freedom. So the formula calls for n-1. The n is 60. And you do -1, so you divide by 59. Now, here's where you want to make sure that you hold Control-Shift before you hit Enter in order to let it know that we're doing an array. And at this point, it populated the entire matrix. So what it did is went ahead and took each one of those and it did it accordingly. So these are the covariances of all these assets. The 59 that we did in the formula, as I mentioned, that 59 there comes from, there are 60 entries in the sample. There's 60 observations. So n-1, n being the 60 -1, 59. We will stop the video here and continue into the portfolios on the part 2 of this video. So far, we went ahead and completed the covariance matrix and identify some things like standard deviation and Sharpe ratio. We will stop here and see you on part 2.